butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly. When I see you flap your wing, I know when it's time for spring. Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Honest Participants Only podcast. I'm so excited to be doing this series of podcasts because it means so much to me. And today I have Kathy with me. She is, let me get your proper title up. She is the head of the Cancer Network at NHS Bedfordshire, Luton and Milton Keynes Clinical Commissioning Group. Is that, that's a mouthful. Is that who you are?
That's who I am, the head of the Cancer Network, yes. And our clinical commissioning group, some people call it a CCG. We're responsible for the population of Bedfordshire, Luton and Milton Keynes.
So basically, yes, basically she's God because she's brilliant. She's brilliant. I've been connected to Kathy in her role. I've been connected to Kathy all my life, but I've been connected to Kathy in her role for about 10 years now. Just probably under. Yeah. And it's been a ride. It's been an absolute ride. But today we're going to be talking about creating Black history, right? Because what I wanted to do, if you've seen any of the others in this series, you will know. But if you haven't, what I wanted to do with Black History Month in mind, we know Black History Month's gone, but these topics need to be discussed all the time, so don't worry about that. With Black History Month in mind, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted there to be a spin on it, and that spin means that we are creating Black history. We're looking at what we're doing now that future generations will be able to look back on and go, this is what I want to acknowledge during Black History Month, because Black History Month is important, and it happens every year, but I don't want there to be this 1 month a year where we really focus on it. So creating Black history is a really important thing, and actually having the conversations I've been having about this, it's making me want to do it every year, do the Creating Black History Month every year kind of thing. So watch this space for the next 12 months.
Nice.
Some of the topics that we are going to be talking about or have spoken about, if you've seen them, are how non-white people can support in the creating of our Black history. My Black history is one of the themes. We've had a range of amazing topics. Today, with Kathy, I'm going to be talking about tokenism. And that can be a very scary word, or if you don't really understand the trauma that can entail, it might not be scary to you at all. But today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So, Kathy, what does this word say to you?
So I was thinking about this, and it's about where people, I guess, have that intention to appear to do the right thing. So when it comes to race, for example, if you think about workplace, and you might think, usually I think tokenism is aligned to workplace scenarios. That's where most people experience it. And it can be around recruiting into a job, and you're the only Black person, you're the only person of Asian heritage, a Chinese heritage, an ethnic minority group that's recruited into that role. Maybe through the recruitment process, they've chosen you specifically, knowing your background, to be part of that recruitment process, and you don't get the job. But the organisation can say, at least, but we had somebody on the panel, or for the recruitment process. It can be workplace activities that take place, and actually you're only chosen, or the feeling is that you're only chosen because of your ethnicity, because of your gender, for example. They might need you to kind of tick. It's about ticking boxes. That's, for me, where tokenism is most used. Now, when I was thinking about this, sometimes I think it's done with intent, some places, and sometimes it can happen not because people intend it to, but sometimes because they don't know any better and they think they're doing the right thing, but actually it's how that person on the other end of it then feels. So for me, there are probably two sides to it. Now, I know people might say, no, there's always an intent behind that, those actions, and actually people know what they're doing. But for me personally, I think sometimes it can get mixed with trying to do the right thing and it doesn't quite land.
This is where it gets messy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because one of the things I'm always harping on about, if you spend enough time with me, whoever you are, you will hear me talk about the fact that intent does never trump impact. And the way something lands is way more impacting than what you intended to do. And that is why we have to be held accountable for so many reasons, because actually you may have not meant to offend me, you may not have meant to hurt me, but you did, and so therefore we have to move forward. And it hurt can be anything. It can be you took the last sweet. Oh, I didn't know you were here. That's fine, but I'm hurt now. It can be used in so many different contexts and whatever. But you said something that really, really kind of struck me. So I put this up. Tokenism for us and tokenism for them, how it feels. You said they may not mean to, but it feels to us, it can feel to us like tokens. And that is where it gets really messy.
Yes.
Because you're absolutely right. I've been in too many rooms and too many conversations and too many interactions with people, even people of my own creed and hue, who don't realize that they are perpetuating the tokenistic kind of trope of let's get her in the room. And it's once you're in the room, you can then prove yourself or be whatever. But that puts the onus on me to be brilliant in that room all the time.
All the time.
To prove myself.
Yes.
Because actually there are many people around that boardroom table or whatever, who just are like, oh, we've ticked our quota. We've got the black girl, or we've got the brown guy, or whatever it is. And that can be tough.
Yes. Yeah. And it's sometimes, and I think when those comments are made, if you're thinking about career progression, for example, and someone might think, well, actually, Kathy, you've got a really good job. Do you know how long it took me to get there, though? And there's something linked to that label of when you've kind of people perceive you to make it. How have you made it? What's that journey been like? And has it been filled with some of these kind of tokenistic, I'm going to say, there wasn't opportunities there, experiences, or has it been a natural journey? And that's a bit for me about the creating Black history. I would love to see in the future people having that natural journey, recognizing that we may not change the world overnight. And so some of these things are still going to happen to us. How do we see it? How do we recognize it? And how do we respond when we see it? There are different ways to respond that can still elevate you and still keep you moving 100% on your journey. And then it's about how you call that out and how you choose to do that. And that's what I would love to see future generations being able to, if it's still around, that they know how to call it out in a way that's comfortable and still get somewhere, still where we need to be, but we can recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was asked to speak at an NHS event, brilliant event. I think it was called Engage something. That's great. Brilliant event, she says, and then she gets the name of it. But I was asked to speak at an event, and it was a really great experience. I was able to go in with a bunch of other people, be on a panel, do whatever. And there was a question and answer section afterwards, and tokenism came up, but not straight up, yeah, tokenism, da da da. But they were talking about kind of eliminating it, and the fact that it's really, really important to have that conversation. And this was a stream of conversation happening in the comments. So I was able to read the comments and kind of respond as another thing was going on, me and others. And somebody said something along the lines of, it can be useful because at least we're getting in the room, and at least then you're one step closer, like you've got one foot in the door. I personally see a danger with that. What do you think, Kathy? I'll get onto what I think after.
No, because if you are getting people into the room, yes, you have then got people there. If they know that's what you're doing, you haven't got all of them in the room. You've got the people then joining that room have got a preconceived idea about why they're there. It's blocking their ability to see any further, to be able to contribute properly, because honestly, they might be mad. And so they might be
I've
mad.
been mad in a bunch of rooms, I tell you that.
Yeah. And it stops you then from being able to be your full self in that, because you're still stuck with, I'm only here because I'm ticking a box, and you can't see how then you can contribute. So actually I totally disagree. I think if I would rather somebody approach me to actually say, Kathy, this particular subject needs your expertise, not because of also, your professional expertise, but actually I think as a Black woman, you will bring some added value. I would much rather than say that out loud rather than thinking it and then still just invite me along, because I know why I'm there at the end of the day. I can read between those lines. I would rather someone be honest and say that. Then you'll get all of me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think that with that, there's also the danger that other people who are not the tokens in the room may think it's okay to tokenize, may think it's okay to dismiss or not listen to the token. Again, it goes back to what I was saying before about, well, that puts all the weight on my shoulders. I now have to speak up when I'm not wanted, or I now have to, the onus of being clear, concise, brilliant, all of the things is now on my shoulders, because I had to get myself in the room. Nobody wants to be where they're not wanted. And as you said, Kathy, I can read between the lines. It's really, really obvious. And I think it's time for us, those of us who have experienced that in particular, to stop going where we're not wanted and to put ourselves first again. And that's been something really important for me over the last 2 years where tokenism is concerned, because I've always been like, okay, I know exactly what you're doing, know why you're doing it, but there's work here to be done. So let me do the work.
Yes.
I've started saying no. I've started saying I'm going to protect myself from this. And not only am I going to do that, I'm going to protect others. So where other people have been like, do you know anyone else who could come on, and do this thing on this board, or do this thing in this place? And I'm like, I don't, but not because I don't know people, but because the environment is so toxic. I'm not ready yet to bring other people into that space to experience what I've been trying to educate you on. And that sounds really kind of, malefic. I can't say the word. I don't mean to be, I've been trying to educate you, because actually it's not. It's in hindsight that we're able to look back and go, I was trying all this time to have these conversations and say, be careful with the term BAME or blah, 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 blah. That's what it turns out to be. It turns out to be that I was trying to educate you on something about my community. But at some point you realize you might be unteachable. I don't know a nicer way to put it.
Yeah.
That becomes really traumatic. And I think instead of spending time doing that, I want to put the onus back in that room and put the onus on myself on having conversations like this with people who get it so that we can empower others who are feeling the same way.
Yes. And you know what? There must be others. So when I was thinking about this conversation, I'll be honest, I was a bit nervous about it because I was thinking, we start talking about this, what's going to come out? Because the other thing is for me is there's a very, very thin line between tokenism and racism. And then I thought, if we get onto the conversation of that grey area, what will I be able to say? Because this is something we often keep in a box. We keep this locked down. We experience it. We don't talk about it. And then when we start to talk about it, it sometimes feels then uncomfortable. And I think this is why us talking here is starting those seeds of actually this is okay, because actually it can help someone else. It can help myself. Talking about it will help me think about next time I'm in that scenario, what did we do? What did we talk about? What did I actually say to myself that I need to put into practice? Because it is practice. We've got to practice this stuff for it to become natural. To, like you said, say no. If you know this is what's happening, say no. Even better still, say no and why you're saying no. Say no because this is how I feel. Are we ready for that yet? I don't know. Let's see.
I think right, and this is the thing, because again, there are you so perfectly brought the two together, tokenism and racism, and those microaggressions of in particular being a Black woman mean that we go, but if I say no, they're just going to see me as selfish, or they're going to see me as stubborn, or they're going to see me as hard, or all of these things, and we've been having to carry those into the room anyway. So we go, how is this going to come across?
Yes.
Fundamentally, I can speak on behalf of both of us. None of us are those people anyway. So even if we were talking about, what to have for lunch, we're not aggressive people. We're always going to be professional. Our tone is going to be very kind of, it's going to be like just like the other people in the room. Like, we're not suddenly going to start spouting colloquialisms and be like the M word and it's not our style, right? Yet we have these hang-ups that make us go, but what will this look like? How will this be like? How will this be perceived? And not because of what we're portraying, but because we are used to our narrative being misinterpreted and people who are committed to misunderstanding us. And we have learned how to navigate that. And again, it's these conversations. You said it was uncomfortable. And when we start to drill down into why it's uncomfortable, it's not because we're Jerry Springer and we're going to be like, bring them out. That was never going to happen, right?
Yeah, never.
But it's because of our lived experience in this space.
Yes.
And that's what's so sad about it. But also what is so empowering when we're able to take back the power and go, no, I want to have this conversation. And who knows what it will do for other people who are not yet in this space and ready.
Yes.
So both of us have had a number of experiences in life where we have quite obviously been tokenized. I had a couple just recently where people were like, oh, Black History Month, Shae, come. And I think, again, this is about me identifying my own characteristics and understanding my own identity in a really big way, because the reason people feel comfortable to do that with me is because in the past, I've always swallowed my distaste and I've gone, but the end goal is important. And so therefore, yes, I will do this and I will come onto your board and I will come and speak to your people, and I will. And it's the way that those questions, especially if they're really really not careful, even if they're said nicely, and this is the problem, the way those feel, we have to start acknowledging how that feels. Because it's time for us to stop swallowing the distaste, even if we know you didn't mean it like that. We're not going to hold it against you. We're not those people.
No, not at all. And I think that's where I was saying earlier about that intent thing. That intent thing is important, because if you can recognize why you're there, am I here because I've earned my stripes, if you like? I know, I do a good job. Whoever it might be, if you can, as an individual, you can recognize why you're in that room, you can be able to address those examples of tokenism, I think, easier. But it is interesting, I think, those experiences that we've had recently, in the past, for me, it is starting to get easier, I have to say, to recognize and to speak about it. So some of the more recent experiences, I've been able to actually say or ask the question, are you putting it back to people to say, why are you asking me here? Why are you asking me? And then let it be for them to then say, actually, Kathy, it's because you're a Black woman and I think your insights would be useful. Okay, then, that we can work with that. It's starting to feel a little bit easier to start doing that. Like I said, if it depends on the situation and you have to read it.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. Do you think that, because I love that, but do you think, there's no but, do you think that it's starting to become easier because you've made your way up the ranks and you're now at a even more senior position where you feel that you have that right? Or do you think it's just that you're every year we get older and now you're exhausted and actually you're going to approach things differently? Like, what do you think that is? Why do you think it's now easier for you to do that?
I think it's a combination, You have got me thinking, though, about whether there's a confidence there. The more that I've progressed, it enables me to be closer to the people that I need to say it to. So I have now more of a voice with the leaders, whether it be in my organisation or another. So there's a confidence there, probably, that if I go back to Kathy starting out, maybe actually, no way would I have said anything. I would have just swallowed it and said, okay, I'll do it. But there's also a part of me, and it's about who you are as an individual, that even I am softly spoken. Anyone knows me, it will take a lot for me to visibly show if I'm offended, or that's just who I am as a person, a little May baby trait there. But equally, Taurus the bull comes out and I would be stubborn and I might still say in my way, but it is clear, actually, either don't do that again, or I will find a way to do that. And so there's probably a little bit of both there, I would say. But you did get me thinking there, which is more obvious? Is it the personality trait that will allow me to say it, or is it the fact I'm now in a position where I could say it and I feel like not everybody would listen, some people would listen? So I think it's probably a bit of both.
And I feel like both of those things are just about growth anyway.
Yeah,
regardless of whether it's just about learning from our experiences that have gone before, learning from other people, or understanding the environment that we're in. The longer you work in the environment, and let's use the NHS as an example, you've worked within different sectors of the NHS for so long, you understand the beast.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now you go, oh, if this happens, then this is probably going to be the fallout, and you can then navigate that in a really, really intelligent way. And the reason you've been able to rise to the ranks of head of things is because you've been able to navigate those choppy waters sometimes. And I say choppy waters only because the NHS is huge.
yes.
And one of the things I love to acknowledge is the fact that it is made up of thousands and thousands upon thousands, maybe probably over 1 million. I don't know how many people work in the NHS.
It's the
But
largest employer in the
there
UK.
you go. And it's made up of individuals, all of whom have their own characters, personalities, identities, um, feelings on things. Some things link us, so you're black, I'm black, but even our experience of being black might not be the same. So
That's
when
right.
you get to thinking about the fact that we are not monoliths, whether it be people who work for the NHS, or
Yeah,
whether it be black people, or whether it be transgender people, whatever it is,
yeah,
we have our own experiences and identities. And once we start treating people um, like that is the truth, we might get a little bit further. How would it feel if there was a White History Month in February every year, and partway through the month, I was like, do you know what, Gemma? How would you like to come and speak to us about your experience? So, White History Month happens every year,
yeah.
and you just thought about it on the 15th. Okay,
Mhm.
great. I would love to do that. Not.
No.
And again, it doesn't mean that we don't do it. It means that we make decisions about what is best for us now.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier. Oh no, go on. You were going to say something. I saw your cogs working.
I was just thinking that that is one of the scenarios I can say openly. This is the first year our organisation wanted to make a stand and celebrate Black History Month, and uh, the feelings that came out from colleagues was really mixed. Oh, it's taken them all this time, or some were like, yes, finally, let's go for it. And it's really interesting, even like to how we respond. And that wasn't a tokenistic gesture to start off with. That was we want to try this, we want to do this, we've not done it before, and it's time, we should have done this. And they were kind of saying, sorry, we've not acknowledged Black History Month before. And but some of the learning that went, some of the learning that went into, well, how do we as an organization do this and do it properly? Some of us had to say, if it's not going to be done properly, then let's not do it. Let's just use this as a starter for 10, get the ideas, and then we do it properly next year. But they said, no, actually, we want to try. How else are we going to learn? Mm-hmm. There's probably been some, like I said, tokenistic things that have happened. But by us telling them, we as an organisation will learn for next time. We won't do that one. We won't do that again.
Yeah, do you know what? I totally hear what you're saying, and I think some of that is about relationship as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can't be that we just pop up to tell them off, and then reap the rewards later. Yes, us as an organisation, we're doing this. It has to be that we're all already in dialogue about the really difficult things, having courageous conversations, so that when these things pop up, we can be like, oh, actually, Bob, this might land in this way. And that's about relationships outside of race. That's about relationships. That's just about relationships with colleagues, so that you can feel comfortable to say, can we have a quick meeting, 15 minutes? I just want to talk to you about something that's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to protect the brand, the NHS,
Yes.
or whoever you're working for, my brand or whatever it is. I'm trying to also protect you from the backlash that I know may come. Because you're not immersed in my community, and why should you be? There are so many communities you could be. We all could be immersed in everybody's communities. There's just too many communities for us to do it.
Yeah.
So having those relationships and being able to say, Bob,
Yes.
let's have a quick chat, and
Yes.
Bob's our willingness to be open. Sometimes it's not every time. We don't have to be the perpetual educator,
Nope.
but also Bob's willingness to go. But to not go. Are you sure? Because I think Black people would love this. Because I've had that a couple of times too, and I've just gone, oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. But it's that thing about, so obviously we're talking here as Black women, our experience, but even with that calendar of we're going to, as an organisation, put Black history on the map this time. Actually, what they did was then they looked at other things. So we've now got a calendar throughout the whole year. And I said, well, okay, you've opened the box. When you get to another event for the month, be prepared to be as open as you have been about Black history, because there will be other people in whatever the next calendar event is who have strong feelings about that too, and how that should be managed. And you need to have open ears. So it's not just about culture. It can be about spirits. It can be a health event. So I don't know, World Menopause Day or what have you. Women will have views about how they want to discuss that, and they can't just have, again, tokenistic experience. There will be someone who has been quite vocal about their experience going through the menopause. Actually, there are others that have had different experiences. How do you get them to contribute? How do you get those views, not just one person? So it can be a range of issues there, but yeah, that sprung to mind. Sorry, I took you off track now.
No, it was perfect. And leads me into my next question, actually, before I go back to the one I was going to answer, and then we'll start to wrap it up. But I was going to ask, do you feel that, as well as Kathy, the professional, and Kathy, the human, do you feel that there's a responsibility or a choice that you've made, a willing choice that you've made, to also add advocate to that? So do you think there's a trinity of who you are? So Kathy the professional, Kathy the human, and also advocate in some places then?
I think I've chosen to do that. I think I've chosen to do it because some of Kathy the human, me, has always wanted to speak up for others. And I choose now carefully, especially the role that I'm doing. I cannot underestimate, this, what a passion I have for a disease, a thing that touches not just individuals, but their families, their friends. And I feel like I'm here to make sure that journey for individuals and their family and their friends, I can't do it all for everybody, but there's something about what can I do as a human being to help some of that along the way. If it's about raising awareness, if it's about support, if it's about just talking about it, because some people don't like to talk about it, then that's what I feel. So the advocacy bit for me comes into there. Now, on top of that, there's the bit around, as we've talked about, who I am in my workplace environment, and the fact that I am grabbing opportunities where they present themselves. If I can do something, I'm not going to sit back now and say, oh, I shouldn't apply for that job, or I shouldn't take up that opportunity, because what will people think of me, and can I do it? Because they might not expect to see a Black woman being able to do these things, to go and present the places that I'm going to, and things like that. There's still stereotypes that people have, and I'm trying to, in my own way, without falling foul of being the token Black person, I'm also trying to show others that you can do it with your integrity intact.
One of my favorite words.
Yeah.
Integrity. Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying. It's not easy, because I do have to check myself every time something comes up. Am I being asked because of this, or am I being asked because of that? But in all things, even if I choose to do it, Shae, there will be a mindful reason why I'm doing that. And
I love that. I love it so much, because I think I come from that small group of people who a lot of people don't understand why we said yes to something, or why we're choosing a thing, because they're like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. But I do think we are a little bit different in some ways. Yes. And we do. I think what you said at the end is most pertinent. There will be a mindful reason we've chosen, and that reason can't always be verbalized, but we know what it is.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Sometimes
stop beating myself up.
Yeah. Who's got time? I need to use all my energy to beat up racism, like beating myself up.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. So a little while ago, you mentioned, the different ways to respond, and that hopefully future generations, because of course we're talking about creating Black history, future generations will know how to respond. So again, we're not going to be looking at a definitive list of A, B, C, but what are our different ways to respond? What ways can the people who are watching this be empowered to know that they have options?
I think the thing that I've just touched on a little bit earlier is being able to say when you see it. But also we've talked about, it depends where you are in life, how comfortable you feel about doing that. So the thing that I do, my hubby is my go-to, and I'll talk to somebody, whoever your go-to is. There are other people out there. We're all experiencing this in some way, shape, or form, even if we don't really want to acknowledge it or talk about it, or we've got a coping strategy. That's fine. Whatever your coping strategy is fine. But if it's something you want to tackle, talk to someone about it. I think is the most important thing, because then you can get other people's views, and then when you're going to respond, at what level do you need to respond? Is it a subtle approach, or do you need to have a direct conversation? Because sometimes direct is not always, it's important, but it doesn't always get you the answers you need. So you need to work out the strategy, I think, to how you respond. I think also doing it in knowing yourself and being able to do that in an authentic way. If you are a person who's forthright and you just say A is A, B is B, then that's how you've got to deliver it. Because if you deliver it in any other way, people might not hear you, because then they're used to the way that you approach things. For me, I am an A and the B person. As I said, I have a style about me that I need to make sure sometimes, if it's really important, I have to up it. I have to up a notch, because I know people will hear what I'm saying, but because I'm softly spoken, gentle in nature, and all of those things, if it's something that I feel really strongly about, I already know, maybe you need to change your tact a little bit, Kathy, just so you're heard the first time, and not I've got to repeat it 7 times, 10 times, whatever. So I think in terms of checklist, it's about talking to others. It's about knowing yourself and knowing how you'd like to respond. But I think there's always something about respond in some way, but just find the best way to do that.
Responding in some way can even just be saying, "I'm sorry, I can't." That's a response. That speaks volumes quite often.
Yeah.
Oh, Kathy, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.
I guess my final question is, do you have anything, is there a sweeping statement or something that you just want to add, or that people who are watching this who are like, those two have made it, those two have figured out where they are, where they stand on this issue, and who don't really understand that, no, we're still learning, we're still figuring this out as we go. Is there something you might want to say?
We probably touched on it a bit. It's that bit about the comfort zone of how we feel inside, and the fact that it's okay if we're still navigating, how does this make me feel? That bit about don't beat yourself up, but still keep moving forward. Don't let these things hold us back, because there's potential inside all of us. And if we let this word tokenism can consume us and stop us from doing what we're here to do, and because we'll just be caught up with that, and actually let it go, deal with it, but let it go, and let your potential shine, is what I'd say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, so much for being here. Sorry, I wasn't getting emotional, but
I am.
We're going to need a month off after this.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you if they wanted to find you? Where could they follow you or figure out, get some of that wisdom that I'm so used to hearing?
I'm on LinkedIn. Kathy Nelson, head of Cancer Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, for BLMK CCG. So yes, I'm always happy to, if someone's got a question, they want to talk something through, I'm happy. I'm here to listen. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, and each situation is different. You've got to, deal with it individual basis. But yes, contact me if you want to.
Kathy, thank you so much for being here. I love creating Black history with you. I love creating history with you and legacy with you, but I especially love creating Black history with you.
Yes, it is.
And we will continue to do it.
We will continue to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. People will look back and see, just recently the conversation we had around inequalities. People will look at that and say, you know what, they're starting to shape things.
Yeah.
They have a voice.
Yeah.
People will listen.
There is it's the very first BLMK NHS. Sorry, what was it called?
It's Health Conversations.
Health Conversations.
Yeah.
I was on the podcast, you wouldn't believe it, but I'm an old lady, so that's why I can't remember anything. But it's had really, really great feedback, everyone. So definitely go and listen to that as well. Health Conversations, the very first episode had myself, Kathy, and Lloyd Denny.
Yes.
Yeah, so absolutely go and listen. Again, like I say, it's had really great feedback, but not because we're great, but because the conversations needed to be had. So yeah, thank you for bringing it up, because I should have and I forgot, because I'm an old lady. So
That's all right. Thank you, Shae. This is a wonderful thing that you're doing. Let's keep it going.
And I can't wait to do more with you.
Good.
Bye.
You too. Bye. Take care.
Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly. When I see you flap your wing, I know when it's time for spring. Butterfly, butterfly, pretty butterfly.